Hello everybody, welcome to Feldy, my app made by Farmer Yip for good old Farming Simulator 2011. We are, I guess you could say, in the fall season of the map, trying to prepare our last field for fall planting, as it were. Oh my, I love this angle. It shows how steep the terrain is in here. Oops, I missed a little spot, so I'll have to hit it when I come back. So we're cultivating our field over, oh shoot, I missed an area again. We're cultivating it over here, and over here we had some corn. Previous episodes I chopped pretty much all of it, took some of it to the BGA, took some of it to our cattle, in the hopes that this will tide them over through the winter. Let me just see here real quick how much I have in storage. I think it's on the third screen. Feeding trough, that's grass. I can't watch where I'm going. There's silage clamp, 291,000. Okay, well, I'm going to need to harvest some grass probably at some point here too, to keep our cattle fat, and happy, and producing milk. So I'm going to take this fella kind of around the edge, I think, one more time, and then I think I'm going to turn him loose and have it hired. And then, last episode, you may recall, we purchased some special equipment to handle the slurry and manure. You know, with the cattle down there, we've been producing both solid and liquid manure, and oh shoot, I just had it open. We can look here, oops, and see liquid manure, 222,000 liters. You know, this will handle probably a sizable portion of what our needs for fertilizer would be, I'm assuming. And, you know, I don't know if we, is there one that says slurry? I don't know that we do. Let me get backed up here. That's liquid, I got liquid manure in there twice. Oh, whatever that's about. Yeah, I don't think I have a global setting to pick up how much is in the slurry tank, you know, down over by the BGA. It's two separate things, you know, liquid manure versus slurry, but I think, and we'll find out here shortly, I think it's the same equipment that you use to apply either one. So yeah, I'm kind of not doing a very good job around the edge of the field, giving it kind of, once I get up top here, I think I'll set up in higher mode. I maybe missed a little on the other side, a couple little spots, but I think we'll be alright. Just as long as my tractor, of course, doesn't end up, you know, in the dirt rink. It's so high up here. Gives a good view, so at least we farm in a pretty spot. It's not a bad view. So I can't really drive like that. You know, that's something I can't figure out how a lot of other YouTubers do it. Maybe they just hire and hide all that or something. How they get all better angles and things on when they drive. I guess my fingers just aren't quite. Oop. Good enough. Let me get that lined up. Hit the 9. Make sure my thing is cleared out. Alright. Okay, with the shape of the field, that should keep him going. Yeah, there you go. You better get all that. Yeah, see, now that he's hired and I'm not driving, now I can get around good angles. Alright, that ought to be good enough. So while he continues, we'll go check out our new equipment. We got over there, there's a manure spreader. And I think we'll just leave it here at the moment. Actually, you know what? Let me get it turned around. You know, is everything ending up hooking up that way? Maybe that's one other tweak I could do to the map to get it to turn out kind of like this one is over here, kind of turn towards the middle, so that you can pick it up easy. All right, I'm looking forward to using that. That'll be for the solid manure. Let me go pick up this guy. Oh, that's another thing. You know what? I got another chook box, I think it's called. And because that's another thing I haven't checked on in a while. I have some chickens, and I really don't know. Let me see. Eggs. There it is. 950. Oh, that's not even that many eggs. Anyway, this needs to go clear to, and I think I have a store to the BGA, right? Right. There we go. We'll stop it when it's down there. Yeah, see, when I run it on a course, then I can move the camera around pretty easy and show a better angle, instead of being from kind of in back of it all the time. Alright, well, while he's heading down over the hill, we'll kind of just stay on him here for the moment. Well, maybe, let me see, can I get to another tractor? Yip, Raba 3. Alright, that one's pulling here. What about, don't I have 3 of them? Yeah. Oh, the other one's on the cedar. Well, alright, let me go back to this one. Basically, they're occupied. I kind of have a question. This particular episode here is the 110th on this map. 110 boring episodes to the public. But I think we are really almost done with the map. I mean, there are things that we could continue doing. I've done a ton of stuff kind of off cam. But kind of my goal in doing the map, you know, I've had several stated goals, you know, to farm every field and do all the special functions that Yip built into the map, as well as, you know, some of them that I built in myself, such as, you know, the ability to haul logs to market, you know, getting a working barge going, and so many other things. So there's just a handful of things I want to do here yet. You know, I want to clean out the manure and the slurry and the liquid manure. I want to do that. I've wanted to make some granular fertilizer, and frankly, I've already done that. And you know, I've learned something too, in that granular and the kelp fertilizer are basically one and the same. Somewhere in here, let me see, where does it say fertilizer, do I see fertilizer storage, 100,000. Most of that is kelp fertilizer, but some of it is granular. I didn't realize that the fertilizer, when it's made, is one and the same. So whether you get it over kind of in this area off beyond, you know, by the kelp converter, or you get it up here where they make the granular, it's all one and the same. So I could go pick up 100,000 liters of granular, even though I know good and well most of that was kelp. So that probably was for the sake of efficiency. Just have fertilizer be fertilizer, and make no distinction in fill types, you know, with kelp versus the other. So maybe I'll make a little bit more fertilizer. You know, it's, like I've explained before, it's kind of painful doing fertilizer or the granular, because you got to haul more things. It's more costly overall. The kelp fertilizer is definitely a better bang for your buck economically. So we got that. We have a special mission to do, and I believe I have all the pieces that I need except for potatoes. I have to roast some potatoes because I need to haul potatoes, some hogs, and some eggs up there by the church. I think there's a special tip spot up there, and it's called a special mission. We'll see what it does once we take up the material. So I want to do that mission. I have in my notes, do eggs at least once. We should be able to do that. We have some eggs up there that, we fed our chickens and got them all their materials. And what is there? 950 eggs. Where was it? I just saw it. Eggs? Oh, for goodness sakes. There it is, down on the bottom, 950. I wish there was more. It seems like those chickens were costly, and they really didn't give all that much. Oh goodness, I got some. Still got plenty of work to do. See, that's the problem with this map, is you're never gonna be done. Let me actually just take a trip over this, and I will compact it a little bit. Yeah, see, I got a bunch of compacting to do. Come on. Except I shouldn't have turned that way now, should have I? Let me turn the other way, and for the first time, see if I can come over here and get some slurry. Somewhere in here, presumably. First. Oh, okay, I can go now. I guess it doesn't show hoses or anything like that. That's maybe the output hose right here. I probably need to be a little bit closer. Alright, cool. So I do have a fair amount here, and I'm going to be curious to see, because I have a feeling this is going to put it down way quicker than the regular fertilizer that I use to spread on the fields. Where I take one unit full, I can practically fertilize the whole place. But I have a feeling this is going to run out a whole lot quicker. Alright, this lets me hold 19.5. So, alright, well, we'll see what we can do. And I think in a previous episode I mentioned, one way, one limitation back in the day here, Farm Sim 11, there wasn't much to do in the fields. You cultivate or plow, you plant, you fertilize, and you harvest. And I guess, if you have, there's a barge. If you have wheat or barley, you may have bales, but that's it. So sometimes I remember seeing what guys would do is, before the stubble was cultivated, they would come onto it with slurry, and they would put that down. Let me see here. Actually, I'm going to try to do it a little bit real, not go through the fence. They would come and put slurry on the stubble before they cultivated. Then they would come behind it and cultivate, which removed the fertilization. Then they would plant, and then they would fertilize again. So that way they had something extra to do in the fields. How wide is this thing? It's been a long time since I've done this in Farm Sim 11 or any Farm Sim, frankly. And the last time I did it, I think I had the benefit of GPS. Okay, I think I just turned it on with a B, right? Alright. I can't tell. I guess it's on. I see the soil changing color. So I think if I plant now, it's going to stay fertilized, right? I don't think, because it's already been in Farm Sim 11, I believe it was, oh shoot, that tractor's no pay. It's the act of cultivating that removes the layer of fertilization. So, move this guy back up. Yeah, he's ready to go to plant spuds. Even have the crop in it. I think that's enough out of the way. Back it up. Oops. Throwing my weight around. Huh. Guess it won't let me do that in the middle spot. Take it around the corner over here. I think it likes the corner part. Hey, unless I'm I'm probably hitting the wrong key. That's what's going on. Yeah, I think I removed the collisions. Alright, now if I hit B, there we go. Alright. Good thing we have trees we can drive through in here. Let me just make sure my guy is... Yep, he's still moving. Yeah, it's going to take him a while to cultivate all that. It's actually a pretty big field down there. Although... Yeah, you know, I may be able to take out this spot with just this single load here, so... Yeah, maybe this will stretch a lot further than what I think it will. So I may find myself hauling this quite a ways, and probably what it's going to mean is I don't need near as much fertilizer, you know, as what I even have currently made. I don't think I need the 100,000 liters that are currently in there. And if I use up all the slurry, that's for sure going to take care of most of my needs. You know, this is one thing, you know, as I think about how the game has changed, Farm Sim 25 being out now. The older versions of Farm Sim just had way less variety. You know, it was just a whole lot simpler. And if you go back one other version to Farm Sim 09, I don't think you had what I'm doing right here. You know, it was even more Spartan. You go clear back to Farm Sim 08, and I mean, shoot, there was just one crop, you know, that came with the game. I think wheat. And I don't know that you could bale it. Don't remember those particular details. But as more and more variety's been added, I mean, shoot, now in Farm Sim 25, maybe 22, you know, they've added all sorts of factories and different crops, you know, a lot of root crop things. And, you know, it used to be, and this is kind of my own temperament, I like exploring and trying everything that the game has to offer at least once, you know. But I imagine it's getting so much in there that it gets even harder to do that, you know, to where there are just so many options. And, you know, it's like how it is for me. There's just time is so limited to even play the game. So, but I don't know. I say that as this particular time of year I work, what was it this week? 73 hours on the job, so it leaves very little time for goofing off like I'm doing here. But as... Oh, and let me see. Did I get to the bottom of my list, or what else is to come? Yeah, okay, I got distracted. 2 eggs at least once. A new way to harvest root crops. I have an even better harvester. I've done it, you know, 2 different ways so far. There's one other one that's a self-propelled harvester. I had to spend a bunch of time working on this ability thing, so we'll see if it cooperates. A little large. And I want to use a hills... Oh, shoot. Don't tell me I'm gonna get stuck. Oh, for corn's sakes. Help! Alright, note to self. Don't get too close. There we go. I want to fly a plane around the map. And yeah, that'll probably finish us off. So I guess I mentioned that again, and I know I've shared that before, but I'm kind of coming down. I don't know how many more episodes it'll be, you know, to get through those things. So I take my sweet time at it. But a part of me, you know, and my whole channel is kind of focused on the older versions of Farming Sim. You know, I've never done a series in 09 or 08, of course. I really don't plan to. But I'd be willing to do another one in Farm Sim 11. And hopefully by now, with the time that I've put in here, the things I've shared with you, just looking at this wonderful map, that, you know, you would agree with me that it's definitely one of those top tier maps for its time, of course. You know, I realize there's been many improvements. But are there others out there? You know, those that have played Farm Sim 11, is there a particular map that it's kind of like a hidden gem? You know, maybe never received some of the press, if you will, that it maybe could have. I know this one here, I think it was released right as Farm Sim 13 was coming on board, so I don't know that anybody ever did a full series on it, so I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking ahead, and if someone has a suggestion for a map, not saying I will do it, but I don't know. I guess I figure probably what I'll do if I don't hear anything in the comments, and not very many people comment, because of course not very many. Most people are smart enough, they don't waste their time looking at my videos, but if anybody has an opinion on a Farm Sim 11 map that'd be worth a look, put it in the comments. Otherwise, probably, you know, and it's getting more and more challenging to find Farm Sim 11 mods, or really any mods for some of these earlier versions. It's harder and harder. There's still sites out there, but a lot of modders or uploaders, when they put mods in the air, they put them on links that have died, basically, and are no longer available. You know, it used to be, or even now, people say, well, hey, once you put something on the internet, it's there forever. Not really. You know, some of the links for all these great old mods, you know, are disappearing or no longer functional. And that also goes for Farm Sim 13, 15. You know, you can still find them out there with a little bit of work, but it's just getting tougher. Now, probably my go-to site for finding old content, Farm Sim, going back to Farm Sim 11, would be Mod Hoster. They seem to have the largest variety of maps, and I mean, there's a crazy number of maps on there. Years ago, another gentleman and I considered making a tool for mod searches, specifically for maps. You know, I think maybe I've mentioned before, my favorite mod, it will always be the map. Second favorite is probably scripts. But there have been scads of maps, you know, made over time, and a lot of them have ended up on Mod Hoster. And he and I were looking at it, and I think it's still this way. You know, there's a couple thousand maps on Mod Hoster just for Farm Sim 11. Now, I'm not going to say they're all good maps. I'm just saying there's a couple thousand that happen to be sitting there. And I don't know how it is for Farm Sim 13 or 15, you know, on Mod Hoster, but there are plenty to pick from. from what modders have given us in the past. So surely somewhere in there is one of them that would be worth taking a peek at once I get through the Feldy series. And I also think, I just glancing at my notes here again, I believe Farmer Yip also had 2 other Farm Sim 11 apps, back when he was active and producing these things. And I almost think he had one for Farm Sim 13 as well, although I don't think he did much on 13. I think he did create one map. Was it called Weem? And I forget, maybe one of them was called Into the Valley, Kinkroggy, something like that. Those 2, I think, were Farm Sim 11 apps. And maybe kind of at the conclusion of Feldy, I could try to find those. I also don't think that those are public on the internet. I asked permission to share Feldy, and he was willing to do that, and of course, so I put that on Odd Hoster, and it's had a bunch of downloads, so I know some people out there now have it. But I probably need to ask him for the other 2, maybe even Wayne, just to make sure his work is put out there and kind of preserved. Because it's, like I say, the old links disappear, and I've had some fear that one morning I'll wake up and Mod Hoster is going to be gone, and I hope not. But sorry, I'm just coming through here to do a little compaction en route to filling. This time I'll try not to get so close. How much is in here? Still well over 200,000. This is going to go a long ways. For all I know, we won't need any fertilizer. And I'm going to have a bunch of off-cam work to drain this tank here, just to use it all up. So anyway, maybe when I get done with Feldy, I'll showcase the other apps that Farmer Yip created. And I don't know if he did anything prior to 09, or 11 rather. I'm just aware of, let me see, how many apps? Yes, Feldy, Kinkroggy, sorry Farmer Yip if I'm mispronouncing it, Into the Valley or something like that. Farm Sim 13, he had Weem. Farm Sim 15, he had one called Glen Ellie that also wasn't widely published. And so that is also out on Mod Hoster now. And I think that's it. I know those of us who watched him do what he does, he worked on some other maps, and I just don't think he ever got him to a spot, where he would publish them. So whether he still has them or not, I don't know. I know he had later renditions of Glen Ellie, but those also have not been published. I think he did it for Farm Sim 19, as I recall. So really, for being as good at it as he is, oops, oh shoot, I'm going way too fast. He's modest, I guess you could say, because it isn't out there, like it is for many of the other popular mappers. But he definitely was a legend in his own right back in the day. So maybe take a look at that. Has anybody watching this ever done this in real life? I know I haven't. I used to see as a kid, there was these huge trucks that would go down the road. What were they called? BioGrow? Whatever the name of the company was on there. and I think it was human waste of all things, which sounds positively disgusting, that they were also putting out on the farmers' fields. And yeah, I was just thinking of this, I can hire the guy up there doing the cultivating. I don't think I can hire this fella. I maybe could put him on a course play to not have to do all of it, but I don't know. The nice thing about fertilization or this thing here is at least you're taking a wide swath, so it doesn't feel like it takes forever in a day to get through a field. Turn around. And anybody listening who lives in a place where they have a BGA, or even if you don't, I mean, just how common is it that slurry comes off of a BGA to be spread in the fields, kind of like we're doing here, as fertilizer? I mean, I don't know how common that is. Around here where I live, we don't really have a BGA anywhere. Not anywhere really that I can think of. Well, there's one dairy that has some, but that's with animal poop. I'm thinking specifically of BGA, for generation of energy or whatever. So, anywho, I'm sure you all heard the bell ring, so after 30 minutes, that's when I'm supposed to quit boring you all. So I'll maybe keep chipping away at this off cam and see if I can make some headway in getting the tank empty over there. So thank you all for coming along to watch me spread a little muck, and I will see you on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.